Do you remember your first birthday? Of course you don't, but this is a special week for the Upper Elementary Simplified podcast because this Thursday, May 30th, the podcast is celebrating its very first birthday. It is hard to believe that I have published 60 episodes in the last year. We're doing something a little different for this special celebration episode, so stay tuned. Welcome to Upper Elementary Simplified, the podcast where busy and overwhelmed teachers find thoughtful ideas to get students engaged in meaningful learning experiences. Hi, I'm Danna Rodebush, former fifth grade classroom teacher and founder of Teacher Tech Studio. I'm here to share practical tips and strategies that will help you grow as an educator. If you are a tired upper elementary teacher searching for ways to cut down your planning time while boosting student engagement, you are in the right spot. Are you ready? Let's simplify. Hello, hello. So it is officially birthday week for the podcast. And you know what? When I started planning to launch this podcast over a year ago, I didn't think this far into the future with it. And let me tell you, it has been a lot of fun. It is a lot of work, but a lot of fun too. I decided to do something a little different this week in celebration of the podcast birthday week. So I picked a few of my favorite episodes and pulled clips from each of them to create a big mixtape of teacher highlights. Before each clip, I will let you know which episode the clip came from so you can make a mental note to go back and listen to the full episode if you want to learn more about that specific topic. But before we dig into the highlight reel, I do want to let you know that in this celebration of the podcast turning 1 year old this week, I'm hosting a flash sale on all of my teacher resources starting right now through midnight on Thursday. I will put a link to my shop in the show notes for this episode, and you can use the coupon code BIRTHDAY to save 40% in honor of my recent 40th birthday on any and all of my resources. So be sure to go check that link out in the show notes and use the code BIRTHDAY at checkout to save 40%. Now, let's get to the teacher highlight reel. This first clip is from episode number 1, titled Meet the Host of Upper Elementary Simplified. Welcome, welcome. I am so glad you are here. As I said earlier, my name is Danna Rodebush. That is Danna, Danna, like Anna with a D. But I answer to Dana, Donna, Diane, Diana, Deanna, and I have pretty much my whole life. What's even better is that my maiden name was super simple. It was Cross, Cross. And then when I married my high school sweetheart almost 20 years ago, my name changed to Rodebush. So, needless to say, I have to spell my name a lot. Next up is a clip from episode number 2, which was titled 3 Ways You Can Bring Why into Your Upper Elementary Classroom. But why do we have to learn this? I'm never going to use this in real life. Raise your hand if you have ever had a student ask you a question similar to these. I'm guessing if you have been a teacher for more than 25 minutes, you have heard some version of that question. Students are sometimes validated in asking the question of why do I have to learn this? Because as teachers, sometimes we don't give them a reason to learn. So I told you that there are many aspects of interpreting the question of why, and that I'm going to discuss 3 of those ways. And this is the first one. So, number 1 is helping students to respect their need for a foundational education. What I mean by that is that we as teachers need to instill in our students the reasoning behind why they are learning to calculate volume or how to determine the theme of a book or any other number of skills that they are expected to learn in school. Now, I will admit that there are some topics that seem like they have no purpose in today's classrooms, but like I tell my own boys, everyone gets the same foundational education. Being introduced to a little snippet of all types of topics and skills, and then when they are older, they can decide what interests them the most, what they are really passionate about and good at, and then that can drive their future decisions about college or the workforce. I promise I'm not going to make you listen to all clips from all 60 episodes, but this next one is from episode 3, titled Three Mindset Shifts for Upper Elementary Teachers. Do you remember when you were in elementary school? If you were anywhere near my age, then you probably remember classrooms being much different than they are now. The thing is, the classrooms of the past were boring. We sat at our desks all day long, completing worksheet after worksheet and maybe a workbook page here and there. Those days are over, or at least they should be. My slogan is you don't just want them to learn, you want them to enjoy learning. Now, I don't know about you, but when I see students enjoying an activity or becoming really engaged with the content because of the way it has been presented, that makes my teacher heart happy. So, mindset shift number 1 is this is not your mother's classroom. The next clip comes from episode number 6, titled Goal Setting for Upper Elementary Students and Teachers. If we don't make it a point to check in on our goals, they will inevitably fall out of our point of focus 99% of the time. I made that statistic up, but you get what I mean. I have talked a lot about multiplication fact fluency on the podcast and really everywhere else, but this next clip is the very first episode that I discussed this topic. It is episode 10, titled My Thoughts on Multiplication Fact Fluency. Were you the kid who easily memorized all of the basic multiplication facts with no challenge? Or were you the kid who struggled to commit them to memory? Or maybe you fall somewhere in between. I was the kid who easily memorized my basic facts. As I mentioned in episode 8, I have a mixed set of feelings on memorization. I was always a master memorizer, and this skill served me very well when it came time to take pretty much any test. I nearly always scored high on my tests, quizzes, and even big exams all the way through college. But you know what memorization didn't do for me? It didn't allow me to fully process, comprehend, and retain all of that knowledge. My memorization skills helped me do well on tests, and then I forgot most of what I had memorized. Students need to understand processes and reasoning. They need to build strategies for comprehension, and they need to recognize how and why those strategies help them reach a solution. But you know what else students need? They need to memorize their math facts. Yes, memorize. Now, I know I just told you that memorization did not allow me to retain knowledge, but hear me out. Memorizing math facts is essential for students to be able to build on and be able to comprehend higher level math. It can also be compared to memorizing formulas. Without memorizing the formula for volume as length times width times height, a student has to put more effort into finding a solution when asked to calculate volume. But we would never just tell students to multiply length times width times height to find volume. Instead, we explain and demonstrate that the measurement of volume is actually three-dimensional, and we are finding the measurement of the space that is contained within that length and that width and that height. Similarly, Before students are asked to memorize basic multiplication facts, teachers should be showing them what is actually happening when they multiply 2 times 3. Kids should be shown that 2 times 3 is when there are 3 groups of cookies with 2 in each group. And eventually, they can see that 6 cookies can also be divided into 3 equal groups by placing 2 cookies in each group. Once they have been introduced to the process and the reasoning behind how multiplication works, they must start memorizing their basic multiplication facts. In episode 23, I replayed my entire presentation from the Cheerful Teacher Conference last summer about multiplication fact fluency, but I'm not going to pull any clips from that episode for this highlight reel. If you want to check it out again, that is episode 23, and it's titled It's a Fact Students Struggle with Multiplication Fact Fluency. These next few clips come from episodes number 24, 25, and 26, which is a 3-part series titled How to Make Math Meaningful and Engaging. And this 3-part series is based on a free guide that I wrote that you definitely want to check out if you haven't already. You can grab that at teachertechstudio.com/math guide, and I will leave that link in the show notes for you. So here are the clips from that series. Creating consistency in your math block provides both you and your students with a predictable routine to follow that will not only save time, but will help you make the most of the time you do have. Imagine that you are wanting to learn how to install shingles on a roof. I'm not sure why that is the example that I came up with, but anyway, you want to learn how to put shingles on your roof, and someone is teaching you, and they hand you a shingle and a nail gun and say, "Okay, go ahead." Well, if you are like me, then you would be very confused about what you should be doing. Should I put something down on the roof first? Where exactly do I place the shingle? Do I hold it while I nail it down? I've never used this nail gun before. How does it work? Wouldn't it be helpful if the person teaching you how to install shingles on your roof first showed you how to do it, then helped you do it before turning you completely loose to do it all by yourself? Our students are no different. That's why the number 5 way to make math meaningful is by providing students with gradual release. In my opinion, math instruction is nothing without a focus on the why. This focus includes developing in your students the characteristic of always asking themselves or you and determining the why of math concepts. If you've been around here for a while, then you know I like a good pun. So get ready for this one. This summer, I am publishing a bi-monthly summer publication for upper elementary teachers called the Dog Days Digest. For this publication, I am fetching the most tail-waggingly inspirational ideas for teachers as they pause to beat the heat in the summer. I told you it was punny. My vision for Dog Days Digest is for upper elementary teachers to be able to find inspiration for the upcoming school year while lounging by the pool, escaping the hot dog days of summer. So, I rounded up some of the best articles, podcast episodes, and videos from 25 amazing teacher authors. This curated list of content is all in one place, so all you have to do is kick back, relax, and enjoy all summer. Topics include all subject areas, plus classroom management, back to school, self-care, instructional strategies, and classroom prep. It's all free to access, and you don't even have to sign up. Just head to teachertechstudio.com/dog-days-digest-24. and you can bookmark the page for easy access. Or if you do want to be notified of new issues that are released, you can subscribe right there on the page. So grab your tablet, earbuds, and a fun summer drink and get ready to read, listen, and watch. That address again is teachertextstudio.com/dog-days-digest-24. And that link will also be in the show notes. The next clip is from episode 27, titled Should Upper Elementary Students Have Homework? Different families and teachers have different views about whether students should be assigned homework or not. As with most topics, there are two sides, and I am here to share mine with you today. It is my opinion that students should not be assigned homework in the upper elementary grades. And my reasoning is pretty simple. They are kids, they go to school all day, and when they get home, they should be spending that time with their family, going to extracurricular activities, playing outside with their siblings, not sitting at the kitchen table doing more schoolwork. You probably weren't expecting that to be my opinion, were you? Episodes 29 through 37 is a giant series about guided math. So I'm not going to pull clips from this one. But if you are interested in the topic of guided math, you should go check out the series. And again, that is episodes 29 through 37. The next clip comes from episode number 41. And this episode starts my 6-week rant about multiplication fact fluency. This episode is titled The Reason Your Students Are Still Counting on Their Fingers. Let's have a listen. I'm guessing if you have been in an upper elementary math classroom for pretty much any length of time, then you have seen students who count on their fingers, who draw circles or tally marks to calculate sums, differences, and products. So, I'm sure you know that the reason your students are counting on their fingers and drawing circles and tally marks is because they don't know their math facts. But it is more than that. They have the ability to reach a solution by using these remedial strategies, and they are just not efficient strategies. And certainly not feasible to use as the math skills get more and more challenging in the upper elementary grades and moving into middle and high school. Next is from episode 45, titled This One Thing Will Change Math Forever. And yes, I am still on my multiplication fact fluency rant during this episode. So, I've mentioned before about how I was shocked at the amount of students that came to me as fifth graders not knowing their basic multiplication facts, and that I went on to see those same kids struggle with the higher level math that I was trying to teach them. Today, I am revealing a secret to the one thing that I believe will actually change math forever. Once you think about it, it probably won't come as a surprise. The solution to this problem of students struggling with higher level math is I know that's terrible, but to hear the secret, you'll have to go listen to episode 45. Episodes 47 through 52 are a series of guest episodes featuring 6 of the contributors to Math Madness, which was an event that I hosted back in March for math teachers. I hope you signed up for that and were able to join us, but if not, keep your eyes open for next year. These next few clips have been pulled from these 6 guest episodes kind of randomly. So if you want to hear more, you can go check out the lineup of episodes 47 through 52.
Okay, so it started off every year. It seems to be across the board, even when I'm tutoring right now, kids are horrified of fractions, and I don't know why. They just find them horrifying. And so I made this silly comic about how fractions aren't scary, they're just tiny numbers, and it kind of explained how a fraction is just parts of a whole number, but it played on the idea that it's just a small number, it's not scary. And I showed some scary things that were typically what kids think are scary, but then showed that fractions are not scary, and the kids really loved it. So it just kind of built from there.
And they also really love using dice to create multi-digit numbers and decimals to compare and order. So, I just give them a handful of dice. Here's 5 dice, roll them. And I use the 10-sided or the 12-sided ones. And if they roll an 11 or a 12 or a 10, I just say roll again because it's too complicated. So, they'll make a 5-digit number, and then I'll say, put it in any order that you want. And then how would you round this to the 10th place? How would you round this to the hundredths place? How would you round this to the thousands place? Do you go up or down, and that kind of thing?
I love that. Yes.
They love it. They love that. They're like, oh, dice. And
The small
dice,
things.
yeah, dice are easy. They're very portable and small and don't take up a lot of space and relatively cheap to acquire.
So that's when I started thinking about, okay, well, maybe we can survey our students here at our school and see what our current mindsets are. And not just the students, but also the teachers too. And so because we realized that, a lot of our students' attitudes towards math really are reflected from our own attitudes as teachers. So this is where it kind of all stemmed was, when I got this new position and started taking some professional development around it.
That is really interesting. And I know that you have sent me the link to that professional development. So I will go ahead and put that in the show notes for the listeners to check out. And I
Yeah.
do totally agree with you about how our students' mindsets really does stem off of our mindsets as teachers. That's really good. So, what activities have you found to be most effective in building a solid conceptual understanding of fractions for upper elementary students? And how do you approach this challenge?
Oh, fractions is one of the most difficult, topic to approach with upper elementary students. But what I don't do, I don't let them kids, now it's really common to have kids study a topic and try to come up with a theory before explaining it. I tried once, and I spent the rest of the year trying to dismantle all these theories that they come up with, because they are, little kids are amazing. They are energetic. They have a lot of idea. They are like, brilliant in a way, but they come up with unbelievable theories. And when they start with that, they believe in it. So it's really difficult to come back and dismantle everything and recreate a solid foundation. So I decided that was a bad experiment, and I would have never done it anymore. What I do, I come in class with chocolate, with pizza. We are in Italy. So
I love it.
sorry, stuff like that, and I start cutting and dividing and giving the kids. You've got a half, you've got a fourth, and they already have this concept inside. So we, in a way, we transfer this concept from something that is really practical to something that is a little more theoretical.
So, what advice do you have for any teacher who is thinking about getting started with a math workshop model in their classroom?
Do it.
Just do it. Huh?
You're doing small group activities anyways. You're doing, reteach, RTI. You're doing all these things anyways. Do it all at the same time. Do it to where students get their RTI with you. They get time to work with others, bring it in small pieces. I'm gonna tell you right now, you don't have to do it every day. Most of the time in my class, it was twice a week. I could not fit it in every single day. With even when I had double block classes, there was so much to do in my math curriculum that there wasn't feasible. So do what you can when you can. If you've got 15 minutes, or if you've got 20 minutes, that's time for one station. That's time to pull a group, maybe even two groups. Use that small group time to your advantage.
I felt like I excelled in math. So I'm excited to talk to you today about reading comprehension and how it works with math. So tell us, does reading comprehension play a role in students' overall understanding of math word problems? And if so, how would you say that happens?
Yeah, of course. And again, I love that you feel more comfortable in math because I'm the complete opposite. I am
That's
very much
awesome.
a reading guru.
That is awesome.
So
We're
I
a
think that
perfect pair.
we are like the perfect pair. Like we could
Yeah.
like team up and rule the elementary world here,
The
couldn't we?
whole world. Yes, we could.
So yes, and I think many teachers, for some reason, we have um this barrier, this wall between math and reading. And so when we go in from one subject to another, teachers sometimes forget that a lot of times these two things are so much more interconnected than we remember that they are. When it comes down to math, specifically math word problems, students have to be able to comprehend and make meaning of what they're reading before math can even be applied. So really, math is almost like a secondary component when it comes to solving math word problems. So there's a lot of different areas in where comprehension or reading comprehension and math word problems really connect.
Again, all of those clips were from the 6 teacher authors that I featured from Math Madness, and those were episodes 47 through 52. The next clip is from episode 53, where I had Anna Marie Kretzy on to talk about test prep.
I included those skills that not everybody needed to review, but were good to review. I included those on their choice board, their test prep choice board. So through my whole group lessons, through small groups, through choice boards, we were able to get a really good review in.
Ooh, that sounds fun. Tell me more about the test prep choice board. What did that look like?
Well, my kids were used to choice boards and, test prep time, I think, can feel very stressful. So I wanted to keep things as normal as possible. I didn't want to do too many practice tests and make it too rigorous. I wanted to make it fun. So I took this idea and I called it a teamwork activity board. That's an acronym, and I'll get to that in a minute. But I thought, we're working as a team to prepare. So we called it a teamwork activity board. And it's just a simple 4x4 grid, and the team letters are at the top. I know a lot of teachers do the MATH and they rotate through different activities. So it's like the same idea. And they rotated through these stations. Even though there are 4 letters, there's only 3 stations that they rotate through. So the T stands for teacher check. And this is where I would just go around, and if I saw them, if they were working independently or working with a partner, if they were really trying hard and staying on task and putting forth the effort that I expected, I gave them a little check. And there's 4 checks that they can earn. And that's just a motivator for them to keep going when things get tough, because it's going to be a tough week. We're reviewing a lot of different skills.
Finally, in episode 54, I talked about my newest resource that is designed to help you build a guided math schedule in your classroom, even if you have a boring math curriculum that you are battling with. Let's listen to this last clip. So, back to that boxed curriculum issue. You've been in a battle with your math curriculum ever since you first laid eyes on it. The layout doesn't flow. The quote unquote activities are boring. The lessons are confusing. And your students are disengaged. Does any of this sound familiar? Not too long ago, I was you. I had a very strong feeling of dislike toward boxed curriculum. So I made it my mission to simplify the process for other teachers like you of taking the curriculum you have been provided and transforming it into an engaging and useful resource instead of a dust collector on the shelf in the closet. If you have been around here for a while, then you probably know that I have been developing my very own math curriculum because I was drowning in my dislike for the experiences that I have had with other curriculum in the past. But then I got to thinking, what about the teachers out there who don't have the flexibility within their positions in a school district to be able to choose to just abandon their curriculum? That's how Guided Math Simplified was born. Guided Math Simplified is my newest program, and it is going to help you transform your boring math curriculum into engaging lessons while providing instruction centered around assessment and mastery of skills. So, there you have it, the highlight reel of the first year of life for the Upper Elementary Simplified podcast. I hope that you have enjoyed this little stroll down memory lane. And please know that I appreciate all of my listeners and am very thankful that you choose to spend a few minutes with me every single week. I am truly honored. Don't forget to use the coupon birthday to save 40% on all of my resources. And that link to my shop will be in the show notes. Be sure to come back next week where we will be kicking off our summer series here on the podcast. Same time, same place. Until next time, keep life simple and have a great week. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Upper Elementary Simplified. I hope you are able to take away something useful that will help you grow as a teacher. I do have a quick favor to ask before you go. If you are enjoying the podcast, please let me know by leaving me a review. It really does make a difference because reviews impact search results, which helps me to expand my reach to other educators. Plus, I love to read my listeners' comments. Until next time, keep life simple.